Good morning and welcome to today's forum. The League of Women Voters of Sacramento County and the Metro Cable Channel 14 are pleased to bring you this forum featuring candidates for Sacramento County Board of Supervisors District Number 1. And this will be on the June 8th ballot. My name is Tricia Erhammer. I'm a member of the League of Women Voters of Sacramento County, and it's my pleasure to serve as moderator of today's forum. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization of both women and men that encourages active and informed participation of citizens in our elective process. The League does not support or oppose any candidate or political party. Rather, the League provides information and moderates candidates forums such as this to help voters learn more about the issues and make informed choices. The format of today's forum is as follows. Each candidate will be offered a 1.5-minute opening. Next, the candidate will respond to questions from our panel with a 1-minute limit on each question. The questions have been submitted by the panelists and reviewed by the League of Women Voters. Finally, each candidate will conclude with a 1-minute closing. We will now be moving to today's forum featuring candidates for District 1, Sacramento County Board of Supervisors. To my right, Phil Cerna, and to my left, Keith Weber. Good morning and thank you for joining us for today's forum.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Sitting on our panel of questionnaires are Pia Lopez from the Sacramento Bee, Cosmo Garvin from the Sacramento News and Review, and Loretta Kalb from the Sacramento Bee. Thank you for joining us this morning. Now we are ready to begin. The candidates have drawn straws, and the first opening statement will be made by Phil Cerna.
Thank you, Tricia. First, I want to extend my appreciation to the League of Women Voters and to the Sacramento Metropolitan Cable Television Commission for the opportunity to have this very well-informed forum this morning, and also to the members of the press here. I look forward to your questions. I want to open and address the citizens and the voters of Sacramento County, and in particular District 1, by saying that I decided to seek election to this office for one fundamental reason, and that is to solve problems in a time when I think Sacramento County needs problem solving. And I think I bring a very creative, distinct perspective that would complement other perspectives on the Board of Supervisors. And I really did it for practical reasons. I've seen and witnessed the condition of the county and the challenges that the county faces, mostly fiscally, in recent months, and really feel this is the time to step up and lead and do what's in the best interest of the citizens of Sacramento County and District 1.
Thank you very much. And to my left, Keith Weber.
Thank you, and I appreciate you all being here, and I appreciate the opportunity to address you. I'm excited about being involved. I have lived here most of my life, growing up in North Highlands, and most recently the last 30 years has been in Rio Linda. Raised 3 kids there, and have had a wonderful life being in Sacramento County. I realize that in the past couple of decades, and perhaps in the most recently in the last 4 or 5 years, we have some really serious financial challenges. I've been working in the community in the North area for about 10 years now, and most recently as Chamber President of the Antelope Highlands Chamber in the last 5 years or so. I have a publication that I produce for that area, and I invite people to go check that out. You can see what I'm about for the last 2 years by going online to www.commerceandcommunity.com. and you'll pretty much get an idea of where I stand on most issues. So I invite you to do that. We're kind of in a crisis mode in the county right now, and I have an opportunity to address those things if elected, so I'm excited to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we will move to the question and answer portion of this forum. Pia, would you please direct the first question first to Keith Weber?
If elected, you will face severe budget difficulties, and one component of those difficulties is the pension crisis. And I'd like to know what lessons do you think the county should learn from the current pension crisis, and what changes do you think are necessary for future employee contracts?
I think this, of course, is at the seat of one of the issues that we have in the county's financial problem right now. Over the last few years, we've been very upfront, and we've kind of taken the easy road and provided a lot of extra perks, perhaps, and I'm sure that the county employees wouldn't consider these extra perks, and I wouldn't either if I was a county employee, and I appreciate all the things that they do, and I know that there are some hard workers out there. But we've almost ended up with a parallel economy in the last decade of people who work within the government system and people who work on the outside world, providing the types of goods and services that are in the real economy in the state of California and Sacramento County. I'd like to see us take a real hard look at those pensions in the future. There's not a whole lot we can do for the pensions that are existing. Those are written in stone, as far as I understand, from the folks that I've talked to in the county. But we need to look at getting those economies in a closer situation.
Thank you. And Phil.
I think it's an excellent question. The first thing I would do if elected to address the issue of what I consider to be an unsustainable pension system here in Sacramento County is really just simply ask the question, pose the question, what is a pension intended to do? Is a pension intended to give folks the ability to have a decent retirement, or is it the fact that we've become so accustomed almost as a culture that we have higher expectations than can be sustained by county governance? And I think the organized labor groups that represent employees here in Sacramento County understand that there's going to have to be some change, and I look forward to working with organized labor to make sure that we have a fair, practical, and sustainable pension system moving forward.
Thank you. Cosmo, will you please direct the next question first to Phil?
Okay, thanks. If I could just ask you to step back a little bit and look at the county's budget crisis a little more broadly. What other specific ideas do you have to close that $166 million budget shortfall? And I'm also curious if you think the high revenue years of the last decade are going to come back, or if we've seen some sort of permanent change in the financial reality for local governments, and what you would do to ensure sustainable budgets in the future.
Sure. I don't know that there's any candidate for any office, local, state, or federal, that claims to have a silver bullet solution to the fiscal crisis. I think as candidates, we owe it to the citizens and the voters to explain what types of creative propositions to help not just prioritize cuts appropriately, but also look at the other side of the ledger, the revenue streams that we have at our disposal. One of the things that I've considered and made very public talking to voters over the last 4 months is the prospect of a possible alcohol tax. This would be a tax not on retail sales of alcohol, but a tax on drinks at bars and restaurants. I think there's enough connection between the impacts alcohol has on our community and the need to appropriately tax it, and that's one revenue stream that I don't know that has been exhausted yet, and that's something we should at least discuss.
Thank you. And Keith?
I believe that the current interim county exec, Steve Zaley, has some great ideas and is putting those into action with the help of the board currently as far as getting us back on track. We have to do more than that in the future. I think we have to allow the folks of Sacramento County, the people in the private sector especially, to step up to the plate and have an opportunity to do the business that they do best, to grow the economy without overbearing of government. I think we've, in the past, gotten in a situation where we've gotten too many county codes, too many rules, too many regulations, taxes, and that type of thing. Yes, we need some of that stuff, but the primary role of government is to provide the protection so that these folks can operate in the economy.
Thank you. Loretta, if you'll direct the next question to Keith.
Okay. Keith, what is it that you can do for your district if you were elected that hasn't already been done?
You know, I have appreciated working with Roger Dickinson, who's the current supervisor in the district, and he's done a great job of being a supervisor. Whenever we wanted him there in the local area, he was there. Whenever we had an issue, he was there to discuss that. And as far as functionality of that position, that's one of the reasons I'm running, is to make sure that that continues, not only for our area up north, but all the way to the Fruit Ridge area, which is the bottom part of the, on the map anyway, of the Supervisorial District 1. I think having the dialogue and keeping those channels open with the community members is the most important thing that we have to do as supervisors so that we can deal with the legislation and the rules and regulations on those folks equitably and fairly.
Thank you. And Phil?
Yeah, I too want to echo the sentiments Keith expressed about the incumbent supervisor, Roger Dickinson. I think he's done a great job over the last 16 years being, quite frankly, an activist supervisor. I have his endorsement along with the endorsement of the other 4 supervisors, but I think that the next supervisor for District 1 needs to actually take it a step further and not only be an activist supervisor, but be very open in terms of seeking creative solutions, not just from within the office he may hold, but also out from out in the community. That means actually going out to the several distinct neighborhoods and communities that make up District 1, meeting with neighborhood leaders and talking to them and keeping open lines of communication to make sure that their solutions or what they think might benefit the county and the district are communicated clearly through their representative.
Thank you. Pia, if you'll direct the next question to Phil.
Phil, in March 2006, Sacramento County had 33,000 unemployed people, less than 5% unemployment. March 2010, 91,000 people unemployed, more than 13% unemployment rate. What can the county board do to prepare for recovery without repeating the bubble economy that was over-dependent on housing-related industries?
I think there's a few things the county can do. I think we have a great start looking at the prospect of bringing green manufacturing to places like McClellan Park within the district in North Highlands. That's a business park, former McClellan Air Force Base that employs 14,000 people in and of itself. And there's already been some momentum to bring some solar panel manufacturers to McClellan. I think we need to build on that and incubate the possibility of really having a significant green local industry here in Sacramento County. I also think redevelopment there's some real opportunities to make sure that redevelopment is not just about improving streetscapes and buildings, but also about employing people from within redevelopment project areas here in the county and in the cities that make up the county.
Thank you. Keith?
Thank you. I would caution us in the future that we need to go forth with a vibrancy, but the vibrancy needs to be in the business sector. We need to have a good dialogue between government and the folks who actually are the producers in the county. I live in the North area, and I'm the chamber president in the North area, and so I'm familiar with some of the things that Phil has mentioned in McClellan Park, and that's been a wonderful thing with the closing of McClellan Air Force Base and all the things that McClellan Park has been able to do. However, I moved back to this area after a brief stay outside the state to go in the solar energy business in 1976. That was the green business at that time. We can't put all our eggs in that basket, and I can give you a long history of what happened to us then. We need to rely on the business sector to do what they do best, and that's come up with the innovations that they do on their own, and start pumping that back into the economy. Thank you.
Thank you. Cosmo, would you please direct the next question to Keith?
Okay. Keith, do you think the county's current policies on medical marijuana dispensaries are working? What changes, if any changes, would you make to the current rules? And I'm wondering if you would contemplate taxing medical marijuana the way city officials apparently are now contemplating.
You know, that's a great question from the standpoint of we have been messing around with this for some period of years, and I'm concerned. First of all, I'm not a marijuana user. I've never used it. I don't have any plans to use that, even if it's in a medical situation, so that's kind of where I stand. But I do think that there ought to be a fairness in the law. Whatever that law is, we need to uphold the law, and we need to make it standard between federal, state, county, and those types of things. So the people of Sacramento are ultimately going to have to decide that, and I'm hoping personally that they make the correct choice in that. But I think that needs to come together. I think the way we've treated that for the last 2 decades or more is atrocious.
Thank you. Phil?
Well, first of all, Proposition 215 was approved by California voters, and there is obviously some history of medical marijuana dispensaries practicing here in Sacramento County. I think I would go back to what I said earlier before in terms of the taxation part of your question. I think before we start looking at taxing what are today illegal substances for recreational use, we ought to look at appropriate taxes on what is legal, which is alcohol. And again, I think alcohol again has such dramatic impacts to law enforcement, to mental health, to human assistance, all services that are provided by the county. I think we need to take an honest look at the prospect of appropriately taxing alcohol before we start talking about taxing other currently illegal substances.
Thank you. Loretta, this may be the last question.
Okay, that's fine.
If you will direct it first to Phil. Thank you.
Okay. Phil, where do you stand on incorporations that have been going on around the county and the Art and Arcade proposal to incorporate?
Yeah, I don't have any immediate objection to the possibility of incorporations or annexations. My principal position on it is that it has to make sense for both the community that hopes to incorporate or annex, and obviously for the remaining unincorporated portion of the county of Sacramento. What I do object to is any proposals that purport to have some strange political geography where service delivery may be compromised. And the Art and Arcade situation is a great example. There are 2 proposals that you're probably well aware of. One would actually leave a sliver of unincorporational on the north portion of the American River, and I don't think that's a wise thing to do. It makes service delivery much more challenging.
Thank you. Keith?
And I do agree with Phil's assessment on that. We've seen an attempt in the Rio Linda, Alberta area to incorporate. We're seeing now the Art and Arcade area have a desire to do that. I would like to go back and look at what's caused this. And what I see is when the county fails to do the job that they should be doing best, which is the dialogue with community members and providing the services that the community members desire, we end up in a situation, of community members wanting doing something else, go on the other side of the fence to a greener pasture. That greener pasture is not always greener. Sometimes that pasture becomes not what they thought it was when they decided to do that. So I'm concerned about each one being addressed individually and listening intently to what those concerns are from the community and seeing if they're exploring all the options before we take action on that.
Thank you. We will now move to closing statements. And Phil Cerna, would you please offer the closing statement first?
Sure. Thank you again. Again, I appreciate the opportunity, not just this opportunity, but every opportunity I've had over the past several months to explain my position on how I expect to lead if elected. If the voters of District 1 put their confidence in me, I hope to work with them to find creative solutions in a very challenging fiscal environment. Again, I don't make promises I can't keep, and in the months that I've been walking precincts, talking to voters on their doorsteps, I've really come to find out that the citizens and the voters of Sacramento County and District 1 have a lot to say in terms of how they think problems ought to be solved, and I think I'm the person to do that.
Thank you. And Keith Weber.
Thank you, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here today as well and to address all of you. I'm excited to go forth and continue what I've been doing for the last 10 years in the community. I believe that we need to give as much freedom to the community members and the business world in our county that they can provide the economy that we need to grow and develop. We're most likely going to have a lot more residents in the future. This economic downturn that we're in right now is temporary, and the sooner we can make the correct decisions to get past that, the better off we're going to be. I would again invite you to go out to the website with my publication of commerceandcommunity.com. That's commerce and community spelled out, and read all about what I've written in the last 2 years, and I'm pretty much an open book there. And would appreciate your vote on June 8th to continue what we can do and the good things in Sacramento County. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Again, Keith Weber and Phil Cerna. These are the candidates for District 1 Board of Supervisors, Sacramento County. I'd also like to thank our panelists who've joined us today. Pia Lopez from the Sacramento Bee, Cosmo Garvin from Sacramento News and Review, Loretta Kalb also from the Sacramento Bee. Also, a huge thank you is in store and justified for the many volunteers it takes to put together these forums for Sacramento voters. I'd like to remind all residents of Sacramento County there are 2 websites that voters may check for more information about the June 8th primary election. These offer complete listings of candidates and also propositions, the pros and cons of each proposition. They are smartvoter.org and League of Women Voters Sacramento, which is LWVS Sacramento.org. This forum and other candidates' forums offered this season will be rebroadcast on Metro Cable Channel 14. Please visit www.sacmetrocable.tv for the entire schedule. On behalf of the League of Women Voters of Sacramento County and the Metropolitan Cable Commission here in Sacramento, I thank the candidates, the panelists, and all the volunteers participating in today's forum. This forum has been designed to impart information to you, the voter, in accordance with our belief that a democratic government depends on the informed and active participation of its citizens. We hope that the insights you've gained this morning will help you offer and cast an informed ballot. The League of Women Voters is where hands-on work to safeguard democracy leads to civic improvement. Please remember to vote Tuesday, June 8th. Thank you, and help make our democracy work.